Hello, we are on air, and this is We Create EDU. This week we're going to talk about how to start a channel for under $100. I'm Jacqueline. I run a channel called SciJoy, which is mostly hands-on STEM, and we'll go around the rest of the panelists and see who they are. If you want to start, Betty.
Oh, sure. Hi, I'm Betty. I have a channel called Articulations where I talk about art.
I can jump in next.
Liz? Oh, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay. My name is Liz. My channel name is High-Waisted Pantaloons. And really, I'm just more of a vlogger. I talk about life and what it's like being a parent, working parent of 2 kids.
And I am Sarah, and I have a channel called Developmental Enthusiast, where I talk about all things child development, developmental psychology, brain development, things like that.
Awesome.
So we have kind of an overview of what you need for your channel, and it was kind of a little difficult to pick because everyone has a different style. If you are more a vlogger, maybe you're going to need cameras and lights and microphones, but if you're an artist, maybe you need some kind of tablet to write on. Or if you're going to be a Henry from Minute Physics, you might need a little light box in order to draw. Or if you're doing more of a gamer or tutorials, maybe you need a green screen behind you as you do sharing, and you need to go through some of the equipment you might need, and we're going to go from cheaper. So I think the first thing on there was probably, I would guess, video. So if you have a smartphone, as we talked with Steve last time, smartphones are pretty good. They take pretty high quality video. I think the next iPhone that's coming about your progression through video, like what you used, if you've been around for a little bit, what you used in the beginning and what you're using now.
Sorry, I missed. Was this just like an open question for anybody to jump in?
Yeah,
for
all of you guys.
So I just wanted to say, like, I was trying to think the other day, like, how much money I spent when I started, and I'm pretty sure it was $0. And I'm sure that's what a lot of people did, because I'm like, yeah, I just used, I in fact didn't even use a smartphone. I used my iPad because that was the only thing that could really record video that I had, and I recorded sound from my laptop, terrible, crappy, like inbuilt voice recorder, and yeah, that was like I didn't buy anything, and of course, like, I honestly cannot watch my first like 20 videos because I'm just like, oh god. So, but whatever.
Liz, what do you use typically?
This. Woo! Yeah, pretty much. I mean, this is my new phone, so my last maybe 10 videos have been on this. But since I started, and this was the upgrade that I got, I actually had the Samsung 3 when I started making videos, so the quality was pretty poor, but I didn't care, honestly, because I'm a vlogger and I afforded that luxury. But also, the one thing that I you hear throughout when we were at VidCon and just in general is that sound's more important. So the one thing that I did invest in was a little lapel mic, which cost me about 20 bucks. So I may not have had the best quality video, but I was insistent on having good sound to make up for that. And this is actually just what I have here is it actually plugs into my phone. It's got just a little audio jack there. So, and it's like I said, it was like $20-something, so it wasn't much. But if you have to cut between choosing video and choosing audio, they always go with audio. So I decided, if I'm not going to have the best quality video for now, that I'll get something that'll help the audio be better.
Liz, do you have a little tripod or anything like that that you use, or do you just sort of prop it up against things, or how do you make that work?
Well, when I started, I did the whole stack of books thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely. Like when I started, I was shooting on like a stack of books, and I had duct tape, and it was terrible, and it was really difficult to figure out how to get it to stay.
Yeah.
But actually, hang on a second because I have it here, and it's a really neat thing. It's I have a tripod that I've had because I used to take pictures and I used to be into photography. So the tripod was an expense that I didn't have to pay for because I already had one, but I can imagine that's a bit of an expense. But I just have this little thing. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, my phone just goes on this, like if you have like a car thing. And it's under $20 for this, and my phone just sits in here, and then that attaches, like, I don't know if you know this, but this is like the part of that attaches to the tripod here.
Okay.
So that I already had. This is actually just this little gizmo here, which I think is pretty neat. That's all that it is, and like I said, that wasn't much either. So between the two of those things, you know, I'm pretty much set, and then eventually I ended up getting lighting, but that was much later on because, you know, natural lighting and all that.
Right.
Make use of that for as long as you can.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Sarah, you?
I will go back. I'm sorry.
So for me, and I apologize, I have the state fair out my window. So I started actually doing video, not specifically starting on my channel. So I started doing some work for my employer. So I work for the University of Minnesota, and I was doing some short video clips for them. And so they have those iPad minis, and you can use those. You can like rent out video equipment to do that. And so the first few video things that I did ever are on a little iPad mini. And that actually worked really well because it's like, you know, like our iPhones and like our smartphones, they have really good quality video, especially if you're just kind of, you know, going out and going to shoot a couple things. So yeah, so that worked really well. In terms of audio, they have those really fancy, and I really, really want them, the really fancy like Bluetooth lavalier mics. So there's no cord attaching you to anything.
I considered getting one of those too. So I did.
Yeah, they're awesome. I was like, I want one of these, but they're so expensive. So I lucked out being able to start that way. And then when I decided I wanted to jump into the YouTube sphere, I did go ahead and splurge and get the camera. My husband and I were also looking to buy a camera to take nice pictures with, so it kind of coincided nicely. I was like, you want to get nice pictures? Let's also get a camera that does video well. So so we decided that was like an anniversary gift one year. We're just going to do this. So that worked out pretty well for me timing-wise. So I can't really speak to the under $100 with respect to the camera, but
yeah, the camera part is kind of hard.
But I think for the most part, when you're starting out, you can totally choose an iPad or a phone.
Totally.
I don't think you can tell that much of a difference, if any.
For mine, like, I think because I had an iPad 2, because of like and I think the quality on that is a little bit worse. But you know, but it still made like watchable, I think, videos.
Yeah, I think the only thing you can really tell a difference on is with a webcam. There's just, no matter how, I mean, unless you have like the top of the line, which doesn't fit with the under the $100, but there's just something about the quality of a webcam that's a little bit less than. But with my phone, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but sometimes like in the Vlogbrothers videos, John, or mostly John, will switch over to his phone, and you can barely tell a difference in quality.
No, you can't.
So yeah, so I definitely think like it's nice to have the camera, and it's definitely something to aspire to, especially when, because if the idea being $100 being that if you're not 100% certain you're gonna commit to it, it's better to hold off until then you can say, yes, this is a thing that I'm going to do. So to me, the investment of getting the nice camera, getting the good whatever, is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But to start out, you don't want to spend that much, especially if you don't have that much to spend, and it's definitely possible to keep it cheap and or free. And I think the free comes in with, like, there's a lot of different softwares that are either incredibly cheap or free to use. So
Also,
you may...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you may need to spend a little bit on, like, some of the hardware aspects, but when it comes to software, it can easily be incredibly cheap or free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was just going to say that, especially if you don't want to cart, if you like, even if you have a better camera, if you don't want to cart it around. So a lot of my like any outdoor footage I take, a lot of my stuff on that I did from VidCon, like a lot of that was actually on my iPhone, especially if it's not going to be like the focal point of my video. So I use that a lot for B-roll, and that works really, really well, especially if I'm out and about and I just, oh, that looks cool. I want to, capture that for maybe for a future video or whatever.
Yeah.
So that works really well too.
And it's also good because it's lighter, so then you're not as shaky if you're carrying like a pretty big camera around with you. I think one of the harder things for me, I had a camera for other purposes, but for some of the things I wanted to zoom in, I think it's like I said, depending on your content. I wanted to show different aspects of things I was working on, so a phone was very, very hard for me to use for that kind of stuff. But if you're vlogging, or if maybe you're doing like a Henry video where you're just drawing and it's stable in one place, then I think you're fine. And one of the tricks I saw for lighting was if you take a regular light and you take a shower cap, not a clear one, but put that over top of it, or clip wax paper. Just make sure it's not too hot, obviously. Keep it away from the light a little bit, but it makes it softer.
Yeah.
So that's a cheap solution.
If your light bulb is fluorescent or LED, then it will probably not overheat. If it's incandescent, then you're in trouble.
Nobody burned down your house.
Yeah.
Please don't.
This just reminds me, I did talk to someone recently who is actually like a professional actor, and he decided to actually start a side project with a friend of his to do like a YouTube show. But they, because like he has connections like, in the filmmaking business, they ended up hiring somebody to film the first, I guess, 4 or 5 episodes. And he was saying, like, the quality of the video and everything was, like, amazing, and audio. But unfortunately, he was like, we could only afford to pay him for the first 5 episodes. And then he eventually was like, oh, we got to start just doing it on our own now for the next episodes. But he's like, but people are going to see a huge drop in quality just inevitably, because they themselves are not professional filmmakers. So I feel like it's like, I don't know exactly how it's going to go with them. People might continue to watch anyway, but I think it is better, even if you start off with like a worse quality, but it could only get better from there. So it's kind of works to your benefit in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I think too, Jacqueline, I'm going to go back to the point that you were making about, like, using for Zoom and stuff. I've definitely noticed, and maybe this is like sorry, Samsung, I don't want to like say anything bad about you because I've loved everything you've done so far, but maybe this is just a limitation of my phone, but I can't turn off autofocus.
Oh.
So I will sit there and do a video, and it will keep refocusing.
Oh, that's annoying.
And it's so frustrating.
There must be a way to turn it off.
No.
There isn't?
They're really, I mean, I've gone through everything that I can think of, and there's no way to turn off just the focus. I can turn off auto every other little doohickey and doodad, but it's the focus, and it just decides where it wants to focus, and that is a major frustration that I think that if eventually when I get a camera, I will be so grateful to say, you focus here and just leave it there. And then I will decide.
Don't you love it when the technology just tries to be smarter than you? It's
it's like, no,
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that is like, I think what you were saying is, like, there are certain limitations. You can do it with a phone, but there are definitely certain limitations to what that phone would then be capable of. So I can see that being kind of a minor, but there again, when you're starting out, nobody expects you to be the best unless, you know, you're Dr. Langworthy, and then you're just...
No, don't expect that.
I know.
So
I think if we want to, Jacqueline, are you still around?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Am I being a robot?
Maybe move to software being the next part. I think we kind of talked about all the basic.
So I don't know if this is next on the list when it comes to a graphic tablet. I wanted to like show off my graphic tablet if we're interested.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I know that like some people like want to do like animation or like graphics for their channel, and obviously this is not a thing that's necessary, but that was the thing I decided that I wanted to incorporate, and it's actually taken me a long time to put more graphics in or more animation or even some animation. So I happen to like do design and artworks just on my own time anyway. So and of course my channel is about art. So I actually bought this. So this is a Wacom graphic tablet. So this is not under $100, but it's like, but there are versions of this that's like $99 or like I think maybe even less now. So this was something I bought even before I had my YouTube channel. I just wanted to do digital paintings on my own, and for work I do artistic renderings of buildings and like spaces. So it helps doing that. So I had it anyway, and so I decided to use it. And I was actually super excited when I found out that CGP Grey also uses the same like graphic tablet that I do. So yeah, like it's the thing with this that's helpful when it comes to like animating or making graphics is that like, you know, it works as a pen. Sorry, like let me show you. So it's like if you want to make a circle, you just draw a circle or a square, and then like it's kind of it's intuitive in a way. Like you have to get used to using it at first instead of a mouse, but it's like you just get to like do things on the screen, and eventually you become faster at making like drawings or animations, and then it's just like it takes much less time for you to make something, and it also helps like if you're editing like an audio track or a video track, you can just point at the places like on your screen that you want to like cut, so you can be much more precise with a graphic tablet. And yeah, so if people are interested in doing, you know, more graphic visual stuff, I would say like the one I have is like $300 something, but you can get these, like the cheapest ones are definitely under $100.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is a thing I didn't even know existed, so that's cool.
I do like the doodles like on my channel are all done with this.
Yeah, see, for somebody with no artistic ability, I don't know that I'll ever need a graphical tablet, but hey, it sounds cool.
You know, it's very easy. You know, anybody can learn. So, they have YouTube videos on how to draw.
That's awesome.
And if you're doing something like Khan Academy kind of stuff too, like if you're not doing graphics, if you're doing, you want to explain something like that, or if you want to get.
Very cool.
Right, Betty? Not as a mouse. That was Gray's advice was use it as a pen, not a mouse.
Yeah. No, it was it was funny. Like I was like, yeah, I totally get that, and then like other people who don't use it are probably like, what? But in any case, yes, use it as a pen. I didn't even know people used pen tablets like as mice, like in the mouse mode, but I didn't even know we would do that. But in any case, sorry. This is, yeah, like it's one of those things that like it's like if you don't use it, it's hard to know like how it could be helpful. But then like once like I was only introduced to it because somebody at my work had one, and then I started using it. Like I started testing it, and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. So it's like super cool. And I think like apparently, and the thing that I didn't know was like some like video games are actually much easily played with a graphic tablet than like a mouse or whatever.
Huh.
Yeah. But.
One other thing on the list that I wanted to see we talked about is, and I think Sarah, you know about this, is the makeshift teleprompter.
Ah, yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's kind of buried, but I can dig it out. Basically, I looked on YouTube for a DIY teleprompter because when I Googled how much a teleprompter was, I nearly choked. So basically, it's an iPad and a like just a small photo frame, basically. So if you guys want, I can dig it out. Hold on a second.
Yes, go find it.
Or
I
if
know
you're like me, you can just write a script and just kind of have it sitting next to you.
That's what I do now.
Yeah. Just write it down.
I think I know what video she's talking about.
Oh, yeah?
The link down in the show notes to that.
Okay.
Which I'll put a link to that also in there.
Oh.
That was fast.
Hi. Yeah.
It's a way to get graphics. If you don't want to make your own thumbnails and things like that or your own logo, it's a cheaper way to do it.
Oh, that's interesting.
The description.
So I have this, which is just a little, and you can actually kind of see the reflection of my computer screen.
Okay.
So, and then I have, this is, okay, I'm not handy at all, so this is really going to out me about how not handy I am. But I bought this board, and I bought these 3 little pegs, and then you can kind of see I drilled a couple of, or partial holes here.
Okay.
And then, basically, what you do is put it the right way, and you sort of prop it like this.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's so cool.
So then the camera is back here, and then you put the iPad down on the bottom here, and you can get a teleprompter app for like, I think it's like $5 or $6 on the App Store. And then it'll do your mirroring so it's backwards, so it's the right way when it reflects, and then it just reflects back on this. But what you have to do is make sure that you have something dark around the camera and the teleprompter, and this, because otherwise you can't see the reflection.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's also not great if you can't, like, don't put it too far away, because then you can't see very well. You can't read it. And it can be a little bit blurry. So if you have trouble seeing, at distances anyway, like, again, just make sure it's really close, and get the black, like a black sheet will work. They recommended black felt, and so then you just put it around it, and then you're good to go. The YouTube video that I watched on this, it's literally, if you Google like DIY teleprompter, it'll pop up, but they were fancier and like did hinges and stuff. I didn't get that far. That was outside of my technical expertise, so yeah.
And then I think he made like a whole mount for the camera on the back side of it.
Yeah, so I have a tripod. So what I have done, so I have a tripod for the camera, and then for the teleprompter, you need it to set at the right height. So most recently I used a stepladder and then a couple of books to get it to the right height, because I don't have a tripod for the teleprompter. I haven't used it that much. I've used it on like one of the videos on my channel and a few videos for the university that I've done. But other than that, I haven't played with it too much. So.
And did you say that's mirrored glass?
It's not. It's just a
No, okay.
like 8x11 photo frame I got from like Michael's or craft store, any craft store.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the best mirroring, but it does pretty well. So.
That's neat. So
some of the other DIY things.
What is sorry.
What was your question, Betty?
Oh, sorry. What is the encoder?
Yeah, that was what I was going to get to next. So,
oh, okay.
Perfect. So if you are, a lot of gamers do this, but also people that are trying to do tutorials, maybe if you're showing something on your screen, and they like to have like their floating head figure. Have you seen this before?
Oh, yeah.
Where like they're the floating head, and then behind them is whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You can, encoders are free. You can download the software. I will just to test out the new live stream beta thing that's happening on YouTube, and it's free and it works for both Mac and PC. And you can download it and you can grab different things you want it to show when you're live streaming. So you can grab screen capture as one of your things that you want to do and put it on there. And if you put a green screen behind you, it even works with green screen. Like this free software will figure it out. So
that's cool.
You can put like a green sheet behind you if you want to try that, and then it will cut your head out. Like you can work with the green screen within there. So you can have the camera on you and your screen offline and put it up later. So it's free software, open broadcast, and
that's awesome.
And if you don't find, you can still use it as the free green screen software, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Which is actually something we haven't talked about at all, is green screens, and I don't know if any of us are qualified to discuss that, but
there's lots of videos out there for it. You can get sheets and stuff pretty easily, and then I think the biggest thing is lighting it to make it all even across the back. So there's lots of tutorials out there for doing that.
Wow, that's good to know, because like I thought I would have to like learn how to use After Effects again and like learn how to edit, in with green screen. But I guess now there's so many softwares out there that will just do it automatically.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the different video formats and how to do free green screen, and it was on there. So I haven't worked with it much, but I know it does exist, and that's what a lot of people do when they do Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
Kinda,
so. Okay.
Now I know how this works.
Do you guys want to talk about other softwares, since that was one of the big talking points?
Yes. Trying to think. Well, I guess I guess this doesn't really help, because like the most of the software I use, like other than like movie editing, which I was saying last time that I still kind of use. I use like between iMovie and Power Director, which is for PC, but which is also kind of like iMovie, where it's very limited. But for graphics, like I use like Adobe software mostly, because I can get like a version of it through my work. But not everybody has the luxury of being in the creative industry and can just have access to Adobe Cloud. So that's hard for me to really say. But I do know, like, there's like, there's other software that's like the free version of like Adobe or like illustration software that's like Inkscape, which I know you have in the notes. Or wait, is Inkscape not free, but it's cheaper than Adobe?
I think Inkscape is.
It is. Oh.
Cool.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I thought that's the free program that GP Gray is using. And I found some other ones. One of our, oh man, I can't remember We sent one of the ones we put on Tumblr and Twitter. In his classroom, and he showed a really cool free software doing kind of animation. People want to check it out, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes too. And I know Blender is good for 2D animations, and that's an open source free software that some people use.
Okay. Huh.
And Tim and I worked with the Delaware libraries, and they actually have some of that stuff for people to use. They don't know how to use it, and they're trying to get like high schoolers to help them out. But they have green screens, they have lights, they have cameras, they have some software. But the local library even has recording equipment for you, green screens, and then maybe your major isn't, geared towards that. You might have that software on some of your school computers for stuff. So
that's true.
That's a way to go out there and look for free things. Audacity is a free audio software that you can
yes,
use.
I do use that. So.
We used that for a long time too.
What do you use now?
I have the Create Cloud thing.
Oh, okay.
Because I use so much of it for logos, for website, for audio, for all that stuff. I don't know if you guys know that I take the ants we do and I have created them into podcasts, and they're on SoundCloud and iTunes.
Oh, really? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I have a podcast.
Yeah.
How much stuff do you do, Jax?
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So,
I will share a dirty little secret, and Betty, this will horrify you probably, or not surprise you at all, one or the other. So all of my thumbnails for my videos at this point have been made using Microsoft PowerPoint.
Oh, that's totally okay.
That is the extent of my graphics ability. I was like, hey, I know how to use PowerPoint. I'm going to do that. For me, it was one less thing to have to learn right away. So I'm excited to have this list, though, because now I'm going to go down the rabbit hole on graphics a little, I think.
That's totally okay. Well, actually, like, now that I think of it, like, when talking about, like, software and stuff, like I think, for me, it was, like the graphic software is, like, I knew more about because I use it in my professional work. But then, for me, like, everything else was like I'm doing the equivalent of piecing together like hodgepodge stuff and trying to make something. But yeah, like, honestly, for the longest time, I had zero audio equipment. It was just my laptop computer. Like, now I have this. But which was just like, I don't even remember what it's called, but it's like it's just like a USB microphone. But yeah, so anyway, like, when it comes to the graphics software, like, I really don't think you have to have like an Adobe like Illustrator or Photoshop, like, because I use it because it's on my computer and I know how to use it, and that's the thing. Like, I think the key is, like, use something that you are the most familiar with. If the most familiar thing to you is Illustrator, then cool, and you have it. But if the most familiar thing for you is like an app, like a graphic app on your phone, or like Microsoft PowerPoint, and if it works, like, it totally works. Like, I would have not known you did that with PowerPoint. I've been watching your videos, and like, I just thought you use like a version of like some sort of graphic software. So like, it's totally achievable, obviously, with what people probably wouldn't normally think of when it comes to creating graphics. But
I tricked you all.
Yeah. So,
I use Pay.net, so yeah, it's totally free and it's totally cheap and it's easy to use.
Awesome.
And some of the things I showed,
since I don't really do too many graphics.
Yeah. You can use Google Draw for things too. That's a way
Yeah.
to do it. So Sarah, do you do the graphics in PowerPoint and then animate it in your software in Final Cut? Is that what you do?
So this is just for the thumbnails that show up,
Okay.
that are
Okay.
like the clickable thumbnail. For other animation that happens, I haven't done anything super graphic. So the biggest thing I think I've done is either overlay some other video or put in some text, and that I can all do in Final Cut Pro, which is what I use. So.
What about your intro?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that I used a software that's called Movely.com, I believe it is. And so they do. It's free, and then you can buy to get more of their package. But basically, it's a free animator software that I played around with in my job, and so I knew enough about it to make the intro. So yeah, that's where that's from. Cool. Yeah.
And then a lot of, again, CGP Grey, because he does a podcast where he talks about this stuff. He did Keynote, which is, Mac's version of PowerPoint, and that's how he animated a lot of his videos, was in Keynote, and then he just did transitions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually what you do, Sarah, is quite brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I've definitely done that with Prezi before. So Prezi is another one of those softwares, and so I've done that. And just to make it complicated, did with Prezi, because you can download it, but it doesn't quite transfer in the same way. I definitely did screen capture with, I think it was just QuickTime Movie, and then played through the Prezi, and have used that before too. So.
There's something else I think we skipped over. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, we're kind of going from place to
place. There's an open source, I don't know how to say it. I'll put it in the, do you guys see it? It's Pitivi, I think it is.
Pitivi.
That's another program that teacher, sorry, I can't remember your name, that teacher uses, and it's for Linux. YouTube editor. So again, free editors. I've used it only to trim.
Yeah. Okay.
Something more substantial. I personally haven't.
No, I haven't used it. I know that it exists. I know that YouTube has their own editor, but I never used it.
Oh, I didn't even know they had their own.
I don't think it does a whole lot, but like I said, I haven't used it, so I don't know.
Has it been around for like a while, or is it recent?
It was more recent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you can also use iMovie, which comes standard if you have a Mac. That comes standard, and I think there's some of the same kind of standard software that comes on PCs as well now that has at least some editing capacity.
It's terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is.
It's terrible.
All right.
See if I can find it. Because I tried using it for my first video, and I could not. I don't know. It's called Windows something.
Windows Movie Maker? Is that right?
Yes,
something
that's
like
it.
Okay.
And that's good if you're doing like mostly picture video editing. Like if you wanted to do like I did one for my son's first year. I did a little montage of pictures. Yeah, slideshow. But no, I ended up going with the because I did research on Final Cut, and since I am a Windows kid, I can't have Final Cut. So I did some research, and it turns out that the closest equivalent to that is this thing called Mojave, which is the editor that I have been using. And I don't dislike it, but it has definitely given me problems in the past where it will just fail. And I don't know how much of that is the computer that I'm running on, and I don't know how much of it is the software. But that seems that apparently, and I can't compare because I've never used Final Cut, is supposed to be the Windows equivalent of
Gotcha.
Final Cut. Now I know other people have said Adobe is another good one,
Yeah.
but I haven't used that, so I don't know.
Sony Vegas is what Tim uses, and I think it was like I want to say $200 or below.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Mavave is also
good.
like $40, so there's
Okay.
that keeping it cheap. Like that's the other thing that I went with that one because it is very cheap, without being cheap in quality.
And it's hard too if you start like a 30-day trial with an editing software because there's such a learning curve with softwares, I feel like.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't get, like, if you're like, oh, I'll just record a bunch of stuff and then use it for the first 30 days, there's a pretty high learning curve with a lot of these softwares.
Yeah.
And like you said, use what you're familiar with. I had done a lot of Adobe stuff in high school, which is why it was an easy transition for me.
Okay.
And in college and stuff, I used InDesign, so it was just, it was less of a learning curve
I
for
didn't
me.
do any of this stuff in school.
Me either.
Well, it was a lot of clubs. Like in college, it was InDesign was for working on a newspaper.
Okay. Yeah, that's
it helps.
awesome.
It helps. Like I went to design school and they didn't teach us software. It was because it was like if people had different choices or preferences of what software they liked to use. So they taught some basic courses, but then most of them were electives. So like in all of our core classes, they didn't teach you any software. It was more like go out and learn on your own or take a couple electives, but they weren't really helpful because they were teaching software that was so too old for our current like needs. So yeah, like almost everything in school I had to learn, and everybody in my class had to learn on their own. And then sometimes it would be funny. It would be like you're working in a group project with somebody, and then you realize, oh my God, this person only uses Adobe, whereas this other person uses some other like completely different set of software, and it's like, how do we work together? So how do I work on a file and then give it to you to do?
Oh gosh.
So,
yeah, compatibility is a huge issue.
Yeah, and then, of course, and then half the class were PC people, half the class were Mac people. And, yeah.
So I guess to wrap up this conversation, maybe one of the things we had touched on before was if you were starting out and you're going to save up and you're going to go in order of purchasing things, what would your recommendations to people be? So if you're already, let's just say you already have a phone that you're using, because I think that's what most people can start out with. Most of us have an okay phone. What would be like your next piece of advice for buy this, then this, then this kind of thing?
I'm just going to start by saying I'm definitely not qualified to even be a part of this conversation. In fact, I'm just going to listen to you guys talk because I don't know.
Well, but Liz, you already had a good advice. Is the audio like?
Right.
Yeah, that was my part. Now I'm just going to listen to you guys tell me what I should get.
See, and I'm going to steal your answer and say go with audio.
I would say other than audio, I think the next should be lighting. And I definitely I've been making videos for a year and a half, or more. And as I was saying before we started the live chat, 2 days ago I got my first lighting kit. So before lighting kit, I was using this. This is my lamp. Sorry. So and then that's right. And then so then 2 days ago I got my 3-point lighting kit, which are 2 umbrella lights and 1 direct light. So that cost me $90. So it's plus tax. So it's just under $100 for the lighting itself. So yeah, I would say that's a good next step to save up to. And you don't necessarily even need 3 lights, and I know last time we talked about if you just had 2, you have 1 direct point of light and then a diffused one. So on this side, hold on. This, it's probably really bright, but this is one of my lights that I got 2 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't invested in the lighting yet, so that one is definitely on my list. I would say also for me, I knew pretty quick that iMovie was not going to be functional. Like it was going to be more of a headache than it was going to be a help. And so for me, buying editing software was a big deal. Partly because just iMovie didn't have the functionality that I wanted, and I knew I wanted to do some of the cooler things that I'd seen other people do, and so I knew I needed to upgrade my editing software to make that happen. So audio, lights, software.
What do you think, Jacqueline?
I had a camera that I was using, so it's kind of a cheat. But I had the first big thing I got was also audio. I got a Blue Yeti because we were in a makerspace and we were kind of doing a podcast. And I had an external one, a USB one, but it was really, really crappy. And it
Alright.
Sorry, I don't know if I cut out or if...
I think it's Jacqueline, because I didn't hear it either.
Jacqueline, where'd you
still
go?
There?
Hold on. We lost you.
You hear me? No.
Sort of. You're kind of cutting in and out.
Yeah. Sorry, we didn't catch the last probably like 2 or 30 seconds.
Okay, sorry. I have family here, and they're probably using the internet.
Are they stealing your bandwidth for Netflix again?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, so I got a Blue Yeti, and that helped me out a lot. And then I think the next thing was probably lighting software. Software was helpful. It saved me a lot of time. I was using iMovie for free for a very long time. But like you said, you need more functionality. I was trying to do different tracks and stuff, and that was just...
Yep.
So probably audio, and then software, and then lighting. It's a little dark right now, but I do have lighting kits. I tried using am I cutting out again?
No. I had a question, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tried using like stuff over lights, and it wasn't helpful for me. So I think that was the order I went in.
If you don't mind me asking, you know that video, the one you had of the floating paper, like how long, like into your YouTube career, like when did you make that? Like was that with like your basic equipment and iMovie, or did you have like the more fancy equipment?
Excellent question. So probably one of the best videos on my channel's favorite is called Unfolding Atoms, and I had nothing.
That's awesome.
I used iMovie. I literally had like a shop work light that I was hanging off of stuff. It took me a very long time to do. The more stuff I got, the easier it was for me to make it. Not even necessarily the quality always went up, but the time it took went way down.
Yeah.
Which is a trade-off. If you're going to start making more and more things, that's a bigger deal.
I think that's a really great point. At some point, time and money become equivalent on some level. So how much are you willing to pay in order to not be spending 6 hours editing your video or shooting your video or whatever? So I think that's definitely consideration too. At some point, you hit that threshold of like, I can't spend any more time on this, so I need something that will make it less time intensive.
Yeah. I'm just gonna throw out a little tiny preach here and say that there is something fantastic though about having those moments and those stories of. I remember when I first started and I was using duct tape to hold my phone, and I definitely hey, if you can afford from the get-go to get the best phone, the best edit, do it. But I also think there is really something to be said about having that small beginning and having that, like Jacqueline's story where she was hanging stuff from the ceiling and whatever. But there's something that you feel more connected to your channel because you did this crazy or ridiculous or silly thing that when you were first starting. I definitely feel more of a connection to having that be where you started. Sorry, to say this, but like Drake started from the bottom. You know, honestly though, like to say like you started from like the very, very bottom and you kept going, and as you could and where you could, you made the advances and you upgraded for the purposes of time. And definitely do that where you can, but I don't know. Rags to riches, right?
And it was good mostly because it was good content. That's why the video was. So if you have good content, you're going to be fine for a long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
So if you guys, any final thoughts before we move to channel check-in? No?
I don't.
Okay, who wants to tell us? So channel check-in, you can just tell us some of the cool things that are happening with you, and I think more importantly, anything that's holding you up, like last time you're talking about you're looking for animation software, and somebody in the comments was talking about how they didn't know how to one that's stuck. So do you guys want to go around and tell us what's going on with your channel?
Well, yeah, I think I'm kind of like, I'm not stuck. Nothing is preventing, or no physical thing I can think of is preventing me from doing anything. I'm just kind of like I said, I kind of went from having a schedule to not having a schedule, and now I'm just going like kind of only releasing one video a month-ish if I end up getting to it. I've been recording all day, and it's just like, like I would say, like the current status of my channel is that videos are coming out much slower because I'm no longer on the schedule, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet, but we'll see. But like there are some really cool things that like I have planned, and I have things that I've recorded in bits and pieces, and I'm actually going to be, one thing that's going to be happening probably in the next little while is I'm going to be recording outside of just my home. I'm going to be going to a particular event in Toronto that has to do with art and trying to record from there, and then hopefully in the future doing like, showing like what cool like independent artists are doing in the city. So
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's exciting.
Hopefully I'll have time.
Oh, time.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
One quick thing that before I know we're already here, but YouTube just added like over 1,000 songs to their list.
Nice.
So, because like one of the last things on the list for what we were talking about is music. If you want to have music as like a under track or the main part of what you do, they added a bunch of stuff, and they've already had a pretty good library, but they added a bunch of stuff, and it's neat because it's like actual, I don't want to say this in the wrong way, but it's like legitimate music. You just have to notate the person in the comment section of your video. It says that on it, like you are free to use this song, but you have to say, like, put their name and credit it. Yeah. So that's one thing that I think is fantastic. So that you pretty much, unless you choose to, if you want to have music in your videos, you don't have to pay for it at all, because they've really bumped up what they have in their selection in the YouTube library. So.
Good to know.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty great. I was looking through the other day. I was like, oh wow, I already enjoyed most of what they have, and now they just have even more. So, Sarah, did you have anything going on?
So I'm trying to think. Like, I'm on vacation. Today was a day off. So I've been fairly consistent in getting things up at least once a week. I think one of the things that I'm struggling with is finding the right time of the week to put it up, both for my own life and sanity, but also for views. So I've been noticing some interesting trends, depending somewhat on the content, I think, of the video, but also somewhat on the timing of when I release it. And so I'm like trying to figure out what that all means. But I do have some exciting ideas for the next couple of months. So I have some friends and colleagues who specialize in specific parts of or topics in developmental psychology, and I'm slowly roping them in and being like, hey, do you want to be on my YouTube channel? And they're like, what is sure. What are you doing? Okay. So I'm hopefully going to be interviewing some of them and sharing some of their research expertise in the coming months. So that's exciting. But other than that, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think those are the big things.
I can kind of address the timing then. Go ahead and say what you want to say, but no.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, in one of my recent videos, I announced that I have a book coming out, so that's happening in a couple weeks. I'll write that. No, this is my life lately. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing that's happening, whatever. So that's cool. But
the insider track on timing is lunchtime and when people get out of work are the best times of day to upload. Personally, with the way that my life is, I upload whenever the video is done.
Right, me too.
So if that's like 11:30 at night one day and then like 2:30 the next, that's when it gets done. But I've heard like when you actually start to get on a schedule, the best times of day, and I see this because I watch so much YouTube. The best times is around noon or around lunch, like probably that's that whole like 2-hour window or whatever. And then also right when people are getting out of work is a good time. And then if you can't make those, then probably just like early evening.
Yeah.
Would be good. But yeah, that's the insider track that I heard. I just can't afford to pay attention to it. So, Jacqueline, did you have anything going?
I'll talk about We Create EDU and SciJoy. And anyone in the comments, I know there's a few people watching us, including Tim, if anybody wants to...
I just realized that the comments are for some reason disabled on this video. I don't know if that's like a YouTube, another stupid thing that it does.
Because it should be enabled. I've been trying to... This is my problem with the... Here's my glitch. Oh, Practical Poppins. Hey. She said something on the Slack forum.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Way to do the live streams, because there's 3 different ways to do it. One, you can do it through Google Plus, and it promotes it on your page, and you can do the Q&A app, and that's all great and lovely. The other is you can create an event on your YouTube channel, and the bonus to that is you don't have the Q&A, but it shows up on your channel, and it tells people when it's going to happen, and they can set a reminder on your actual channel, because nobody goes to a Google Plus page, so this is going to help me as an event there.
Because Google Plus,
It's true. It's true.
Exactly. So I go to the... I trying to do it as an event, but when you do the event, you can't have the Q&A, and I don't know why the comments are... You can't promote it on Google Plus, I guess, because it gets angry.
Google.
I did a video about this is the beta live stream thing they have that's supposed to be kind of like Twitch. So there's actually a youtube.com/WeCreateEDU/live or something like that. There's like a dedicated live link for us that we could turn on at any point we want. But if I do that, there's no way for me to, that I know of, if anyone knows how to do this, this would be lovely, how to promote that as an event. Like, it just seems like something you turn on and off, but there's nothing that's like, by the way, in 3 days I'm going to do an event at this time. So those are the...
I mean, what about, like using just social media in general?
Yeah, you can do that.
Point.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of your subscribers are the most likely people who will just like see it and click on it right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So when you do an event, it comes up, I think, in your feed that, hey, this is the thing that's happening. So that's my sticking point for We Create EDU. And I'm trying to do regular schedules for this, the first Monday of every month and the third Wednesday of every month. Some people told me their times that they wanted, they were available, and Mondays and Wednesdays seemed pretty good. So I wanted to do one of each. So if you can't usually make it on a Monday, and we were going to talk about styles of vlogging and the Nerd Fighters. Following that will be October 5th, and I kind of wanted to talk about Meg was going to talk more about that, but she can't moderate this one. But how do we achieve them? Maybe some apps that we could use together if we wanted to keep each other in alignment. I don't know if you've ever used like Trello.
Jacqueline, you're kind of cutting out a little again.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Repeat the last sentence.
So October 5th, I wanted to talk about goals and how we could track each other's goals and help each other achieve whatever we want for our channels.
Okay.
So that
Gotcha.
that was kind of the October one. And We Create EDU has a website that I'm still, it's up. I revamped it a little. It needs some more work. We have a podcast that we're using. And then I guess for SideJoy, we're still doing the robots, the drop test, and we released a 360 video.
Which
and I wanted to
awesome.
ask,
Yeah.
thanks. And Betty has a 360 camera, so if you guys have advice for what she should film, that was one of her questions.
Yes, that is a question. I'm still waiting for my SD card, so I can't film anything because I don't have anything for the thing to record onto.
So what camera did you get?
Oh, I got. It's still in the box. So I won it from VidCon actually. I don't know if I mentioned.
Oh, nice.
This. Yeah, so I went to the LVR virtual reality panel workshop. So it's the Kodak Pix Pro. That's the one I have, and that is so it's similar to, I now forget what the other one is. But it's like kind of, it's for like sports and things like that, but you can use it for all kinds of things. So I only turned it on, but again, because I'm not able to record, I still haven't tested it yet. But yeah, it was kind of like a draw, and they had stickers under your seats. Like if you had a sticker, then you won a camera, and I had a sticker under my seat. So yeah.
Cool.
So I'm gonna, hopefully I'll start recording some stuff and then seeing how it goes.
Yay!
Cool. And I don't know if they'll come on, but I would love to have the ELVR people come on one of these hangouts and talk about 360 recording and stuff.
I have been talking. Sorry, I have been talking with Emily Eifler, so I can we can ask her, and then if she has time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because I know awesome. You have one, I have one that I was talking about. He had. There's at least 3 of us that could really benefit from that. And when, at least in my comment section,
sorry, in your comment section.
Right. I'm sorry. In my comment section, a lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah.
We can wrap this up if you guys want.
Sorry, I'm expecting you said a lot of people just didn't realize that such a thing existed. So awesome. Okay, yeah, I actually do have to go to the washroom really badly, so I think so maybe we'll see you next time.
Wrap it up.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much, and we will see you, some of you, hopefully next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Cool. See you guys then.
Bye.
Bye.